Hello and welcome to this UniC event. My name is Christian Bergeon-Côté, and today I'm at Saint-Tropez Roulant in Montreal with the Myco Nurseries team based at McGill University in Montreal, and they are going to present their workshop, VermiComposting 101. Myco Nurseries is a team that was supported in our latest call for projects in the UniC network. So I'm excited to learn about this process. I know very little about it, and hopefully you can join in and ask your questions as we go along.
So I guess before we get started, what does everyone here know about VermiComposting? If you know anything. Because I didn't know anything a couple months ago. So yeah.
Red wigglers.
Yes, those are the words we're using. There's actually other types of worms you can use. But red wigglers are the most common ones in North America, so we use them. They're also the cheapest ones, and worms are expensive, so we use the red wigglers. But yeah, so essentially vermicomposting, the idea is that you take food, cardboard, other waste, and then you use worms to eat it, and then they essentially like poop out stuff that's really valuable, as like a soil amendment or as something that like people who are growing vegetables or other plants can use to supplement their soil.
Yeah. Technically, the kind of like the water from the tea from the vermicompost, if you collect it within 24 to 48 hours of you draining it, you can also use it as like a liquid form of fertilizer instead of needing to wait for the worms to actually poop out all their worm castings.
Yeah. And I guess the tea, we haven't quite gone to the level where we collect tea yet. But so in some of the bins we'll show you, like you can see some of the fertilizer is starting to collect. Well, really just in one bin, because that's the bin we've had going on the longest. But
Okay, so the purpose of this trivia quiz is really kind of just to get a feel for you of what you think can be and can't be put inside vermicomposting bins. Because unlike normal composting bins, there are also living creatures in it. And as a result, there are certain accommodations that you will have to make when you are sorting through kind of like your food compost, so that you don't accidentally kind of make them ill or kind of like overfeed them or like, just put in things that are toxic to them. Let us begin the quiz. First question, which of these things do you think can go in? Is it bread? Is it garlic? Or is it banana peels?
so we'll put more than one thing in out of the three that are here.
Out of the three that are here, you cannot put more than one thing in.
Okay.
There's only one correct answer here technically. What about bread? Who said bread? Bread. Okay.
Shall I reveal the answer?
So the truth of it is that you can actually put in banana peels, but not bread. It's because the banana peel is kind of just normal kind of food product thing. And so it has all the fibers, all the kind of nutrients that the worms can eat. But the bread, it also contains yeast sometimes, and that isn't as easily digestible for the worms. And also it is quite high in carbs, it's just sugars. And like it's not, you can put a little bit in, but it's not recommended that you put a lot of it in because it's not super nutritious for the worms. It's kind of a similar thing with garlic. Garlic does have some like natural anti-pest like chemicals within it, just because of its nature as a plant. And so you can put, again, a little bit in, but like if you put like copious amounts of garlic in, it will probably make the worm sick and unhappy. So yeah, the banana peel is the safest bet.
What about other things like garlic, like onions?
Onions and other things along those lines, they also have kind of those similar anti-worm kind of compounds. So it's also recommended that you don't put them in large amounts because it will make the worm sick.
Yeah, they don't like smelly things.
Yeah. Anything that you think is smelly, like Julia said, it's probably safer to put in like a little bit rather than a lot.
Or none of it.
Or none of it. Next thing, Okay, this is a little bit harder to see. So again, there's only one answer to all three of these options. Is it magazines? So it's kind of like the Vogue, kind of like the Elle, kind of like the GQ kind of glossy magazines. And then the second thing is dryer lint. It's like the little fluff that you get after you clean out your dryer. And the last thing is stickers, including food safe stickers that are apparently compostable. The tough one's tough one. So 2 votes for dryer lint. And who thinks the stickers can go in, including food stickers?
Maybe this.
Maybe stickers?
Maybe
Okay,
stickers.
okay. So the actual answer is indeed the dryer lint.
Ah.
Yeah. So it's because the magazines, like we've all probably thought, there's a lot of coloring in it. It's also like a lot of processing of chemicals that aren't super good for the worms once they finish leaching out. The dryer lint is actually pretty good because depending on the materials or the fabrics that you have, like for example, if you have linen shirts, if you have like 100% cotton shirts, these things are all like good bedding for the worms and they do also kind of enjoy it. Obviously, the more like kind of polyesterine kind of type fabrics, those do also exist, but it's kind of fine enough that it can just exist as more bedding for the worms. So it's not terrible. And the last thing is the stickers. Yeah, again, stickers, whatever makes them stick, that is also potentially bad for the worms. So not always recommended that you put them in, and the coloring on the stickers can also be toxic once they leach out for the worms. That's why we normally recommend no putting stickers in or magazines in. 3 things, again and again, only one of these things can go in. Number 1 is like feces. So I know some people have pets at home, so like cat feces or dog feces. Some people can be tempted to put them into the bin. The second thing is diseased plants. So these plants are kind of sick. They've got weird yellowings. They've got little worm bites in there. And the last thing is dead leaves, but no pesticides, because I think that's kind of a given one. Yeah. So yes. Yeah. So it is indeed the dead leaves, no pesticides. So it's really important that if you put any kind of natural materials in, kind of like the leaves and twigs and everything, it's really important that you know that there have been no pesticides sprayed on them. Because pesticides will also kill worms. And especially if you have a lot of it in there, it'll become concentrated in the bin over time, and your worms will slowly die out. Disease plants, obviously, is because you don't really know what viruses, what bacteria is causing it, and so it can just really downturn the whole health of your bin. And lastly, the feces, again, cat and dog gut systems do have their own bacterial systems also. So, like, if you do add it into the bin, there's not really any telling how the bacteria and the compost will react with one another. So it's generally recommended, let's keep it away. So the last thing is, so these are more common food products. So the first one is meat. The second one is dairy products. And the last one is seaweed. Yes, indeed. So meat and dairy products do have really high amounts of fat sometimes. Please don't ask me the question about what if you have like super lean meat. I don't actually know the answer to that.
Bacteria in it
It
anyway.
actually has bacteria in it anyway, even after you cooked it. And yeah, dairy products, it's just really high fat, and high fat materials can promote a breeding ground for like bad kind of other microbes in your bin. So it's really not recommended that you put it in. And if you do need to, because kind of your food is all mixed, put in very little. And seaweed is a good call. Yeah, they will enjoy seaweed. That gives you more insight into bin things.
We're gonna kind of prepare now collectively as a group a bin together. And for you, because you have chosen to take your own vermicomposting kit home, you can prepare it into this bin.
And we'll show you all the steps. You'll
Yes.
probably want to transfer to a bigger bin at some point. For now, this should be enough to get started.
Yeah.
So carbon-rich materials are things like cardboard. Where are egg cartons? Egg cartons. Newspaper, if you have any of that.
I'm taking it out.
Nitrogen-rich materials are things like food. So generally the rule is brown cardboard brings next year, but that's not actually how it works in practice. That's brown, but it is very nitrogen rich as well.
Yeah.
So this is the food we're going to be using, and it's actually processed compost. So it is essentially compost that was taken, put through what's called a food cycler.
Fertilizer?
It's called fertilizer, but the machine, a food cycler, to like remove a lot of the like bacteria, microbes, stuff like that. So it's supposed to be like very nutritious, and not hopefully not filled with like bacteria. So shelf life, like you can just keep it for a while. And this we actually got from student housing and hospitality at McGill. We have a partnership with them, and they just like give this to us periodically because they don't really have a use for it. So we use it.
Sasha, if you ever want some foodalizer,
We have so much.
we have so much.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And it won't stink as bad as, technically your bin should never stink.
Yeah.
But if you want to have something dry, like this, that's more shelf stable, that won't take up your freezer space, we can give you some as well.
So yeah, should we do the cardboard now?
We will now introduce ourselves into shredding the cardboard, a beautiful process of kickstarting one a bit.
And we promise we'll show you the worm suit.
And I promise we'll show you the work soon.
We never have enough shredded cardboard. Collectively, we probably spent about 6 hours shredding that much cardboard. So it's actually quite time intensive, but we're thinking of getting a cardboard shredder with the funds that we didn't use on rent.
Unfortunately, if you're trying to think of using like office paper, it will not work.
Yeah.
Office paper has been bleached, so it will leach and it will kind of like make the world very unhealthy.
Where you can like, if you like separate the layers of it like this, then it
it's a
becomes
lot faster.
much easier to rip instead of just like ripping the whole thing into tiny pieces. Oh yeah, we can also shred some egg cartons. So if your fingers hurt, feel free to shred egg cartons.
Oh, and I will also note, sometimes, cardboard boxes, if you have them, it'll come with like stickers and it'll come with like tape and everything. Please make sure to remove them as fast as possible, before you add them into your bin.
The coloring, the printing on the box is a problem?
The printing on the boxes so far, we haven't really seen a problem with it.
Yeah.
Like even for the newspaper, because some of our old boxes had it, but apparently a lot of newspapers now have soy-based ink, so apparently it's fine.
Yeah, most of the time I don't mind the color. It's more like adhesive material.
Yep.
And also plastic, they don't like. Like if you ever want to start your own at home, you can just take your egg cartons and your old cardboard boxes. And then for the food, so we're using foodalizer, but you can also save like your regular food that you eat as long as it, isn't like meat, like dairy or smell like they're actually kind of sticky. But actually a hack that I learned is that you can put your food in the freezer and then unfreeze it like a couple hours before you want to feed it to your worms. And it actually that's better for you because it removes a lot of the bacteria and microbes. So currently in my communal freezer, there's like a lot of frozen banana peels and eggshells. We dump this all into the water.
Okay.
And then we can look at the worms.
Okay, great. Yay!
Because essentially you want to soak it in water before you put it into the worm bin because the goal is that you want it to be kind of like pretty moist, like not sopping wet, but you want it to be moist because worms like the moisture. They don't like super dry soil.
With this, I revealed the bin underneath. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to stick my hands in there to turn it.
This is like 20 to 30 liters of water. So it took a long time to come out of the tap.
Yeah, I think normally I do it by feel. If it feels like you don't want it to be kind of like breaking apart at the seams, like your cardboard, but
Is there room for more?
but probably, yeah, there is. But you could probably be good with it if you can kind of break apart your layers of cardboard more easily, like that. Especially if you didn't break it into the single layers. So yeah.
The goal is the temperature to be like lukewarm. Because then if it's really cold, then your cardboard becomes cold, and then the worms don't really like the cold. It's all about pleasing them.
For now, we keep them in the basement of this building, but the building is already kind of implementing a more heater system as well in order to keep them kind of at a more optimal temp. And during the summer, overheating is also bad, so you do want to try to keep them in a cool space as well. Unless you have like really, really temperate climates, and if you do keep them outside during the summer, it's really recommended that you have like cool shade over them.
Yeah, they're not a big fan of direct sunlight because they're mostly underground.
Hmm.
Yeah. So then when you harvest your compost that you want to use as fertilizer, you ideally don't want to harvest the worms because you want to like have the worms eat more stuff and produce more compost. So a strategy is you literally just shine a light on half of the compost and then the worms just like go to the other side because they don't like the light.
Okay, so this box is getting opened up. So I'm gonna try and kind of point out things to you. So you can see before we didn't really use a cardboard base. This is all torn up newspaper, and you can see like little bits on the newspaper. I'm trying to grab like a bigger. So all of that is worm castings. So that is like the worm poop, and it is very nutritious. And so the worms are kind of just slowly chewing through everything. You can see a little bit of old food that we put in there for them. And you can see like the old eggshells, corn that we used to have in there. So I'm just trying to find a worm.
They like to hide at the bottom.
Yeah, they do really like to hide at the bottom. Hello. Hello, mister. So this is a worm. It is a red wriggler. It is covered in its worm castings right now. But as you can see, it's not entirely very happy to be out here. I hope that will be evident. And so I'm just going to return it. And depending on how old your worms are and kind of how long your bin has been going, you can really find them like around the size of your pinky nail, or you can find them kind of like some get really thick, like about half the size of my pinky. And like, yeah, they also can grow up to be quite long as well. We're going to try and dig for the worm. And then, yeah. That's another baby one right here. Oh, yeah. So you can see this one is really small compared to the previous one that we saw. And so this one is probably pretty new. And so the worms, honestly, they spend out their whole life. They grow kind of in the bin. Like they'll grow up, they'll be born, they'll grow up, and then they'll die in the bin. And normally, the worms are hermaphrodites, I think. So you don't need to worry about like mating them or anything. They'll just reproduce. And like, if you ever notice that there's too many worms in a bin, you can probably start off another bin, or you can use some as fishing bait.
Yeah, here's a fatter worm.
Here's a fatter worm. It's probably much older. Yeah. So part of the maintenance of the bins is, as you can see, there's a little bit of the newspaper that has dried out now. And for now, this bin is pretty damp, so I'm not sure if we'll really
You can water it like a tiny bit.
Yeah, but normally when you crack open your bin, which is like about maybe once a week, every 2 weeks, if like your bins are a little bit like newer, you check kind of the moisture. So here I see that the paper is still pretty bended pretty well. It's not dry like this one over here. So that means this is kind of the ideal moisture amount. And so we'll just water this bin a little bit. Sometimes you do have to turn the bin also. So what that means is you kind of dig your hand under and then you gently flip it over to kind of help everything that's on top go onto the bottom so that it encourages the worms to kind of eat that stuff. And so you can honestly see here that if you look at the top, it's a lot of newspaper. But if you look at the bottom, it's like so much worm casting. So we might need to turn it a little bit. So I think this bin has been going for since July now. So it has been a while. And when I initially started this bin, we used Micro Nursery's old mushroom substrate. So it was already like too dry, like it couldn't really produce mushrooms anymore. So we broke it up. We threw it into the bin. And then we added some newspaper to kind of balance the nitrogen and the carbon. And there was also still kind of the mycelium roots in it. And then we added the worms in and we left it for about like 2 weeks, came back and we started noticing, oh my gosh, the worms actually really, really like the mushrooms. And so since then, you can see there's not a lot of like mushroom stuff anymore. The mushroom stuff is like white and they've really, really just like eaten through it. So yeah, that's how we have this bin now. It'll take you about like maybe 2-3 months to get to this state because initially it'll just be a lot more just chunks of stuff and less casting.
Part of what we want to do with this project is see if we could take the waste product from growing the mushrooms, feed it to worms, and then have like more product that's usable to kind of make it more sustainable and more circular.
Hopefully in the future, we'll figure out a way to kind of repurpose the worm castings into the use for our like mushroom substrate also.
Yeah. Or even just for plants.
Or even just for plants. So I think I'm gonna turn it before I water it. So I'm just gonna grab a chunk of it. If you would like to also get involved. Yeah, you can just kind of grab a chunk like that and just flip it over. Yep. Yeah. So
Oh, you see the worms.
yeah, they were all hanging out at the bottom. So they'll probably start digging back in to the bottom now.
And it's been originally started with 10 worms.
Okay.
And now there is definitely more than 10 worms in there. Because actually worms, I think they eat about 50% of their body weight every day. And obviously some of that comes out as like worm castings. They don't just like grow 50% every day, but they eat a lot relative to their size. And they also reproduce eventually.
But there will be sometimes you'll notice a few mites in your bin.
Yeah, they're more evident here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one hanging around here. Okay, so actually Sasha, if you'd like to grab the mister and just give like 3 spritzes. Maybe. Maybe a bit there. Okay, looks good. Just that, because
Yeah.
the bin's pretty moist already.
Yeah.
You don't want to like humidify it too much, because then it's kind of like soaked groundwater and it might drown worms
Yeah.
and just throw off everything.
It's also harder for them to get oxygen when there's too much water in there and they like the oxygen.
This top newspaper that you keep seeing, that's essentially the top bedding layer for the bin. And it really just helps to keep like all of the moisture trapped underneath. And that's why even though you see this part of the newspaper here dry, the rest of your bin is not dry, as you can see. So yeah, I'm gonna cover up this bin. Let the world send it back in after all that stress.
Yeah, and in general, like you don't want to water the bin every day. That's actually a lot. Like you can water it like once a week, once every 2 weeks, and they'll be fine.
Okay.
These are newer bins. So we're still figuring out the exact right equilibrium. Yeah, feel free to comment with the worms. So you see, yeah, they're like a few springtail / mites. And our theory, so they aren't harmful to the worms, but they usually signal that something's a bit off in your bin, if that makes sense. So our theory is that we didn't put enough air holes in here because these bins are bigger. And so that has enough air, we're pretty sure, but it's a bit smaller, so it's easier for the air to get in. So what Min did in the hour before you all came is there used to be holes just on the squares. And she put a bunch more holes in. So we're hoping that'll like increase airflow and hopefully the mites will go away. Another thing that can lead to mites and springtails is if you overfeed your bin. So you have to be cognizant when you're feeding your bin of making sure that you're not putting too much food in, because if you do, then worms like food, so do many other creatures. So then the creatures will come in and eat the food. And it's not really bad for the worms most of the time. Sometimes the mites start eating the worms. That's really bad. They haven't started doing that in this bin as far as we know. But yeah, it's bad. Just in general, like more bacteria starts happening, stuff like that. So this is like a newer bin. We started this bin with more worms and we want to add more cardboard to it because we checked its pH, which is like a meter, and we're not sure about the accuracy of the meter. You can see there's like some worms there. Yeah, that's quite a large one. Yeah. We're not sure what about the accuracy of the pH meter, but we're pretty sure it's too basic, which is unusual because normally bins tend to run acidic and that's bad for the worms. You want to be around a neutral pH. So it's too basic, and we theorize that it's because we put in too many eggshells, which are quite alkaline or basic. So we want to add, if we have enough cardboard and eggshell carton, not eggshells, egg cartons, we want to add that more in because that's more carbon. That'll hopefully make it more acidic. And that's also why, for example, in general, you don't want to put in things like, what's the word? Citrus, because those are super acidic, and usually worm bins already tend to run acidic. So then it's not super great for the worms if you're putting super acidic things into an already acidic place. Yeah. The bottom, I would say, is more moist. Here, do you want to stick your hand?
Okay. That feels good. Yeah, the top is a bit dry. I think we'll have to like re-wet this top newspaper.
I agree.
Just to keep it.
You can feel it.
You can feel it. And so now you can like check the health of your own bin. Okay.
And this one doesn't need to be rotated?
This one, it's a bit new. Right now, it all looks pretty uniform. So I don't think we are gonna turn it just to avoid stressing the worms too much. We got flipped last weekend.
I think I also flipped it when I came in on Wednesday. So it's been
A lot of flipping.
Yeah.
Okay, so
If one of you wants to water the top, where did the spray go?
yeah, spray bottle was over there.
Yeah, if you want to water a little bit, and then if you also want to spritz the newspaper when you put it back. And I'm just gonna open up this one. This is our other new one. It's in largely similar condition, I would say. Pretty similar. This is a bit more wet, like if you want to feel it, it's you can feel it's a bit more moist. So this one we probably don't need to water except for the newspaper, because the newspaper's a bit dry. Okay. All right, I would say we're pretty much ready to take out the cardboard, cocoa coir, and it's just like coconut fibers. Yeah, so this you can just buy in bulk, or you can buy it from a worm supply store. So we try and put around like 50% cardboard, 50% cocoa coir, but we kind of just do it by eye. Yeah, you squeeze, yeah. Because you want it to have around the moisture that we gave around the moisture that like we gave these bins.
So I guess we are hands on.
Yeah, I'd say like maybe one more handful for you, Sasha, and then it's probably a good amount because then we'll put in some cocoa and some foodalizer. And then anything that's left, we'll probably just put in those two bins because it would probably be good to have a bit more bedding because we did put quite a few worms in the first two bins, which is good, but also
They're hungry.
yeah.
Some things, for example, like coffee grounds, the worms eat it, but not in the sense that like it gives them nutrients, but it helps them kind of like grind up the food that's already in their tract and makes it easier for them to digest.
Because the thing is, like the food, you don't really want to put too much food in because that will like like it will rot, like not rot, but like go bad eventually. Whereas the cardboard just kind of stays there immediately, which is good. Like this is around the optimal size if you want to do it at a bit of a larger scale. But yeah, you can never shred enough cardboard is what we've been learning. It used to be much heavier. So it's actually great now.
Yeah. Yeah, every once in a while we'll add cardboard. Newspaper is more available to you. You can also add more newspaper. So that's kind of a monthly basis type rather than like a regular weekly check-in. So monthly, the really regular weekly check-in is just a need to water it and make sure that it's at a good moisture temperature.
And then I feel like the rest of the cardboard we can probably add after because I think it's 450. So
Let's bring out the worms.
Let's bring out the worms.
All right, so we put about 50% in. My way of doing like 50%. I usually like shift all the cardboard to one side. And then you can see, and then like about, so that's like about 1/2 of the bin. And then I just put the cocoa fry on the other side up to the level of the cardboard. And then you mix.
Okay, so I will start unveiling the worms.
There must be content.
yes, there must be content. She really likes the content. It's good because I don't. Okay, and we're supposed to explain what we're doing while we film.
This is the bag that the worms came in from the worm farm. So as you can see, the worms normally won't be on top. They'll normally be somewhere closer to the bottom. When you do order worms, you can either we've just kind of kept them inside this box until you're ready.
If you dump them, they're like all on the top.
So when you, let's say you order a bag of these worms, does it come like a quantity or
By weight, and I'm not entirely well the place that we order. I'm not entirely sure if that's weight by like the actual weight of the worms or weight by like the. I think it's weight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we ordered a 1/4 pound there.
So you get a 1/4 pound of worms
Yeah.
for approximately.
It was like $70 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. But it gets cheaper if you order.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see digging through the top was futile because I just unloaded the bottom and you can already see 1 worm, 2 worms, 3 worms. Yeah, 4 worms right there, a bunch more over here. So they are a little sluggish because of the travel. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pick out kind of 1, toss it in. Do you want to name your worms?
Yeah, how we choose names.
Roberto, Eduardo. I like the O thing. Fernando. Okay. And
And then how it works once you have the worms in, you usually want to wait for what's called like integrating. So like you don't see them on the surface before you put the lid on. And the first time we did it, we were concerned it was going to take like 24 hours, but it actually takes 1/2 hour or less.
Okay.
And then I'll give you some foodalizer sachet because you're not supposed to feed them until the next day. So I'll give you some of this and then you can feed them that tomorrow and start collecting food scraps. And usually the rule of thumb when you're feeding the worms is
slow at first. So you feed them like a little bit, because usually they'll eat a bit less because stress. Yeah. And then like usually once you get to 2 or 3 weeks, they start to eat a bit more. And then, yeah, try not to overfeed them. So it's better to check on them like once a day for the first 2 to 3 weeks and feed them a tiny bit or not feed them at all and just see what they're eating. And then you can gauge from there how much you want to feed them on a regular basis. And also they will multiply, so they'll start eating more because there will be more of them to eat. So we've done pretty much all the worm caretaking stuff.
And starting stuff.
But yeah, if any of you have any questions, you're very welcome to ask them. When we started, we had like a pound and a half of words open. So it took a little bit for them to integrate. Yeah.
I think my words was really excited to get.
Then it was showing the other one, people tangled a lot, or did they
Um,
have more space, they'll spread out?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just because they've been,
Jostled around.
Alrighty.
Wow. Our main base of operations is in the sewer biofilm. So yeah, so very good field focus, but we're trying to reach more. We're actually making like an educational module about fungi and sustainability. We're gonna see if we can get them elementary schools. Yeah. So, but we're talking to someone, he just talked about like masculinity coming from my property. And you're not supposed to put the top on it, they integrate.
Oh, I saw that.
I couldn't want to do that.
And that is right. Thank you for coming today.